Hello, everybody, and welcome back. And also, Merry Christmas. I was thinking, what better way to celebrate the season than with fulfilling a request? So, I have the request from another one from the Kirby Universe. We're going to do the Marx Hat. So, it's this hat over here. So, this is going to be interesting because I want to try and get the fabric a little more as realistic looking as I can. And yeah, let's just give it a shot. Just go for it. New part file, please. Alrighty then, so I'm going to start by sketching on the front plane because I'm going to go for a revolve. I'm going to revolve that, the base part. So what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to go for merging two solids together. But first, I'm going to make kind of a central solid to merge two. So I have that, and actually, let me just give that a distance. Let's make that about 5 inches, just so SolidWorks has a sense of scale while I work with these underdefined sketches. I'm going to take that. Let's do an offset entities. Move the other way. I'm going to cap ends and arcs. So this will make the fluffy part of the. I'll make this part of the hat over here. Right. So let's just try that out. Just like that. Let's get out of the sketch and we'll do a revolve. Just like that. And I notice over here, that it has a little ruffle right there, so I'm going to try and capture that by doing another revolve of a smaller curved slot kind of deal. So again, on the front plane, I'm going to put a center line right there and get myself a 3-point arc. That was strange. 3-point arc. Here, I'll just move it around. Maybe that's a little better. So I don't quite want it as a half circle. Something like this, and then I will just do the same thing like I did for the other one. Whoop, not convert. I want offset. This guy, reverse. Something kind of like that. And we'll just do another revolve. There we go. That's looking kind of fluffy. And yeah, so I think what I'm going to do actually is I'm also going to fill in the hat completely solid, and then I will shell everything out at the very end. So I'm going to fill all this stuff in. So let's make a sketch on the top plane. Actually, no. I was thinking of making a sketch on the top plane, then extruding, but then I have to figure out the perfect distance to extrude to. So instead, I'm just going to go for yet another revolve. I think that's going to be the best tool in this case. So, yeah, let's start by throwing down a center line just like that. And then what I'm going to do, see if it can convert. Actually, I'll just draw. Let's take that up to there. And just going to take this down here just so that it is merging with the rest of the solid over here, making it completely solid. And we will do a section to verify our work. So something like that. And let us do the revolve. And there we go. We want merge result to be on. See what that does. Yeah, I think I can live with that. It looks pretty good. And then let's try, yeah, the very last thing is going to be the balls on the end. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to work on these two fluffy peaks, almost like a double Santa hat, which is very appropriate for today. So back to SolidWorks. Alright, so I think I'm going to do this by sketching on this plane, and we will do a circle up to the end. Alright, I want this to be tangent with that. Hit the tangency. There we go. There we go. And then what I'm going to do, since actually I have to make sure that this is horizontal with the origin right there. Just like that. Yeah, because I'm going to do a loft, but I'm going to loft with center lines. So I'm going to loft to two profiles, which are both going to be circles. But what's going to give it the curved look is going to be our center line. So that's going to be the whole magic in this whole thing. So now that's properly done. Now it can go on the front plane, since I know it can actually connect with that. Right, and then we can take a spline. Just going to put it down there for now. But since we need to loft along it, we need this to go to the center of the profile. So actually, I'm going to do this and that. I'll just go for the coincident. I was looking for Pierce, but not exactly giving me the option. I think it may work. If not, I'll have to go back and put in the Pierce relation. Oh yeah, and there is our drag handle. Open it up just like that a little bit, and I may do a vertical relation right there. Something like that. There we go. And as you know, so that's looking pretty good for the first part of the hat. And then perhaps we can also rotate this around with a body copy and move, just to give it more of a natural direction. But I think I'll do just fine for now. And before we do our centerline loft, we need just one more profile, and I'd like it to be perpendicular to this path over here. So a way we can do that is we can start a new plane. I'm going to pick the endpoint and the curve itself, and it'll give us a plane right on the end, just right there. Very nice. And then I'll do that, just put a circle there off to the side, and now it should give me a Pierce relation. That's what I like. I'm just going to make this small because I'm going to end up covering this with the ball at the very end. But just, let's see how this looks. Doing all this for the first time, so let's see how this turns out. Okay, so we go over here. Now we can start our loft. Our profiles will be this guy over here, going to this guy over here. And then for our center line, can make it choose that. Alright, it's not too bad. I like this to come a little closer to the edge though. Let me see if I can change the start and end constraints. Let's do normal to profile, and then maybe I'll give it a little bit more. Ooh, that's no good. Okay, I'll reset that. So I'm gonna put none. Oops, I put direction vector. I'll put none. And then what I'll probably do is move this guy up with a body copy and move. So let's just put that right there. But before we do that, so we can manipulate this body, we need to uncheck merge result. And there that is. Okay, now let's start our manipulation with move copy bodies. So first, I think I may just do constraints for, actually what I should have done is put this profile on the top actually. So yeah, I think I'm going to do that instead because I just want to do a rotate. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click this, and click Edit Sketch Plane, and this is where the sketch is living right now. So instead of this bottom face, I'm going to click this top face instead. There we go. And now we just need to adjust the spline. Oops, that's not the sketch I wanted. That is the one. So let's just adjust this spline because its continuity is not agreeing very much. And as you can see, giving me a little bit of issues, but there we go. I may just redraw it. There you go, no problem. So do that. Yeah, that's the fear about underdefined splines, is that they don't like to play nice very much. And then I will get an error or not. Okay. I thought it would get an error because of I didn't think the plane would know where to go, but it's doing just fine. Well, at any rate, I'm just gonna do move copy bodies. Yeah, I was gonna check if we still had 2 bodies. So just do that. Just give it a little rotation, just like that. And SolidWorks takes a second to think. And then actually, alright, so what does my top plane, my right plane look like? That looks pretty good. So I'm gonna eventually mirror about this, but I will do that at a different time. So actually what I can do, actually I'm going to put the ball on the end now, but I'm going to do it before I move the body. I should have done this before, so I'm just going to roll back, no problem. And of course a sphere requires a revolve, so yeah, we need an axis, and it's going to be a little bit tricky, especially since there is it's hard to define what angle I've put there. So let's put an axis. Should be able to select that, and then go to reference geometry, axis, and let me see. Don't quite like that. I thought I could get the normal right off of there. Oh, a point and a face or plane. Ooh, I can definitely do that. Alright, so I still need a point, but I'll just sketch one really quick. Right at the center point of this. There we go. I know geometry. Put that right there. Concentric. Make sure that's black so it's fully defined so it'll follow it around. So there we go. Let's try and boot up the axis tool again. You can take that face, and that point, and there you go. The normal of that face will become an axis, which is really cool. And since this is before we moved it, we can just use the front plane as a sketch plane, which is really nice. So let's go ahead and sketch on it. Alright, so let's put our center line down. And now since we have our axis, we can pick that and make them collinear. Let's make it 2. Let's see if that's not too big. And then of course, let's get a circle. Find the midpoint, just like that. And then just cut off an end with a trim. Well, it could be a little bigger actually. Let's make it 3. There we go, I like that. So let's try that into the revolve. And it's going to yell at me that it's open, but I can tell I can close it up just fine. And there we are. Getting pretty close. Let's see, solid bodies too. Alright, so it merged it, so that's totally fine. I'm going to go for body, copy, and move. There we go. And now let's see. Let's do a mirror. I'm going to do that about the right plane. So we'll go over here, take this plane, but pick bodies to mirror, and do that one. So we're getting pretty close. Let's take a look at our reference picture. The only issue is this needs to come in just a little bit. So I suspect there may be a little bit of surface work cut out for me. Well, that's totally fine. Alright, so what I'm going to do is hide this, because I'm just going to work on merging these two together and just merging it all with the rest of it. Whoops, I hid everything. So actually, before I hide this bottom guy, I'm going to sketch on that. I'm going to give it a circle, just so I know what my target is. Whoops. So I'm going to pick that and that edge right there, and I'm going to make co-radial. So there we go. So we have an idea of what we need to merge it into, and perhaps we can use it with a boundary surface or something like that. Let's go ahead and hide this body. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge these two together. So I'm going to go combine and make sure this is an additive combine, and that looks just fine. Alright, and I suspect what I'll probably do is cut the bottom part a little bit off and then do a boundary surface merging cleanly into this circle. So let's go about doing that right now. Sketch on the front plane, and we're just going to draw a line just like that. Let's give it a fixed distance so it's not going all willy-nilly. And you don't have to give it a length, it's just as long as it overbuilds what you're doing. So this is going to be for the split. Cut bodies, take that and make sure consume is on. And there we go. And then to convert this into a surface body, you can use a delete face and make sure you're on delete only. Pick the bottom face, and now it is basically like a shell. And now the goal is to merge this into this, and that will be more cleanly achieved if the two profiles have the same amount of vertices. So on this top bit, we have two vertices. We have these two points right here. On the bottom, we have 0 vertices, so we need to match them up. So let's go edit this sketch actually. It'll just bring us back in time a little bit, which is totally fine. And what we're going to do is take this, merge it all the way there, and do split entities. Oops. Use split entities. Put 2 split points there. And then of course, we'll just give the proper relation. We'll do a coincident right there. And the same for the other side. Make coincident. And now we have a circle with 2 vertices. There we go. As you can see, that should merge very nicely with our boundary surface. So let's go ahead and boot up the boundary surface tool. In direction 1, I'm going to right click and hit selection manager, because we want this whole loop, right? Click the loop, and we want that closed loop. And on the other side, we'll open up the selection manager again. I'll tell it to pick this whole thing. And there we go. We're getting pretty close. Let's see if we can make this a little smoother. Oh, that looks pretty nice. Making it a little smoother by adding the tangency relation to the to this boundary over here, so it more smoothly, merges right in there. So it completes that boundary surface, and it's looking pretty good. And lastly, we're gonna need a planar surface so we can close this off, and eventually we'll knit it all and make it a solid again. And no sir, that is the wrong loop. Should be an arrow for me to play around with. Oh well. Hold on, let me go hide that away. There go. Alright, planar surface. I'm gonna click this guy and this guy. And there we go, we got our surface plane. And this should be ready to merge together. So we're gonna knit. I'm gonna select this, this, and this. And we see we have a couple gaps, but it gives us the option to create solid. There are no X's here, which means it can definitely close those gaps. So as you can see, we have nothing in the surface body folders anymore, which means our knit succeeded. So we can open this up and see how that merges all together. That's looking pretty good. So now we can actually combine these two together, since we're nearing the end of this, at least for the pre-coloring part. But I'm going to combine, and if this fails, which it'll give me an error like no solid bodies remain, what I'm going to do is do a simple extrude so that this top part overlaps into the bottom part. But hopefully, nope. Alright, we don't have to worry about it at all. And to me, this is looking a little stiff because it's looking too perfectly circular. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Mold Tools and do a little bit of scaling to this. And I'm going to do some non-uniform scaling. So I think I may squish it in the X direction over here. So let's give it a 0.9. See what that does. There we go. Now it looks a little more natural. Can hide that axis away in that lonely point. And there you have it for the most part. That's the Marx Hat. And if you give me a second, I'll color it in really quickly. One sec. And with that, the coloring is done. And there's one more thing that is left to do, and that's to shell out the part. And so let's just boot up a shell right here. I'm gonna pick this face, and I think I'm gonna shell outward because sometimes when I leave this unchecked, it'll be annoyed about some of the internal geometry and how it can't tolerance it properly. So what shelling outward does, instead of putting the thickness towards the inside, it'll put it towards the outside. So keep in mind that it'll make the part a little bit thicker, but that's totally fine. So let's try that, and shell complete successfully, but we've lost our colors. Alright, give me another sec. And there you have it. There's the Marx Hat. You can put it on if you like. That's it from the SolidWorks nerd. Have a good one.